In this lesson, we're going to take a look inside the book feature. If you'd like to follow along, go under the File menu to New Book. And you can see that it's opening a dialog box where you can name your book. Why don't we do that? And it says .indb at the end. InDesign files are INDD, InDesign document. This is an InDesign book, totally different. And I'm going to save it to my desktop. Just going to hit save. A book is made up of individual documents or chapters, and they're brought together as a single entity within the book panel. To add your chapters, simply click the plus mark down the bottom of the panel. You need to navigate to a folder inside of your sample layouts. The folder is called 1004 Books, one chapter at a time. And inside of that folder, we're going to select all 3 of our chapters in our very short book. And we're just going to click Open. And you can see that it actually adds the 3 chapters to my book as separate listings. Why don't we open those individual chapter documents? All you need to do is double-click on the listing in the panel. So I'm going to double-click on Chapter 1, Chapter 2, and Chapter 3. As we are opening them, I noticed some differences in my documents. In Chapter 3, you can see that the subheads are purple. The body text is a sans serif face. Let me go to Chapter 2 by double-clicking. That's pretty much the same. Take note of the names of the styles in the Paragraph Styles panel. Now double-click on Chapter 1. And you can see the style names are totally consistent, yet the formatting isn't consistent at all. Well, in a book, you want to have a consistent look throughout your entire book. Well, how can you fix this? Well, the first thing you need to do is pick something called a style source. This little icon indicates the style source. You can see that Chapter 1 is that style source. I can click next to any chapter name in that empty box to the left of the chapter name, and it's going to make that the style source. Well, I want to leave it as Chapter 1, so let me click in my style source box to make Chapter 1 the style source for the entire document. Now, how do I make the other chapters pick up the formatting of the styles from Chapter 1? If I click on Chapter 2, you can see there's these double arrows down the bottom of the panel, and it says Synchronize Styles and Swatches with the style source. So it's not only going to synchronize the styles, but also the swatches. Let me click on that and we'll see what happens. It's synchronized the styles successfully. So let me just click OK. Now let me go to Chapter 3 and do the same thing. And you can see in my Chapter 3, the subheads are now the right color, and also the serif face is being used for the body text. So it did work perfectly. The same thing is true in Chapter 2. And you can see Chapter 1 also has those same styles, so it did work. Another thing that the book panel takes care of is with separate documents, all brought together into a book, the page numbering is actually handled by the book itself. And you can see Chapter 1 is a range of pages 1 to 2, Chapter 2 is just page 3, and Chapter 3 is a range of 4 to 5. What would happen if I needed to add another chapter between 2 and 3? Well, the page numbers are going to update automatically. It's one of the things that's really nice about the book feature. Or maybe I have Chapter 3 in the wrong place. I actually wanted that chapter to come right after Chapter 1. Let me double-click on Chapter 3 so we're seeing that chapter, and I'm going to drag up. And you can see I can actually take the listing and insert it between 1 and 2. and you can see that the page numbering actually changed. However, it looks like it didn't change in the actual document page. What is up with that? Well, there are certain features in InDesign that I call the shy features. They don't change while you're looking at it. So don't look away from your computer. What you need to do is change your view to force InDesign to redraw the page. One of the ways to do that is to go to your zoom tool and just click and drag across the bottom of the page. And you're going to see that page 4 will now be changed to page 3. So it did work. Well, I'm not really happy having chapter 3 coming before chapter 2. So let me drag that back down. And you can see here it actually did change. Sometimes it does, sometimes it won't. But if it doesn't, just change your view and it should update automatically. Why don't we go into chapter 1? I'm just going to double click on that to open that chapter. I actually have the beginning of an automatic table of contents on page 1. Let me just drag my panel over to the side, and you can see that it looks like I haven't updated my table of contents in a while, not since I had just a chapter 1. Well, it would be nice to update this, and it works automatically. I'm going to select my contents frame and just go under my layout menu to a command called Update Table of Contents. And you're going to see it now updated it successfully, and it brought in my other chapters with the correct page numbers. Really kind of cool. The book panel does a lot that has to do with books. Like, for instance, I could click the Save Book icon down the bottom of my panel. I could print my book just by clicking on the printer at the bottom of the panel. I can also add documents, which we've already done, or I can select a document and then hit the minus sign to remove documents. There's also a lot of options that are under the options menu of the book panel. I could add documents here. I could replace documents. I could remove a particular document. A lot of these I could do right here in the panel itself. I could save my book, which I can also do in the panel itself, or save my book with a different name, or even close my book. Well, I could just click the little X if I wanted to close my book. Then there's a bunch of features, most of which we are going to talk about in upcoming lessons, like pre-flighting or packaging, exporting selected documents to a PDF, or exporting your book to an EPUB, printing selected documents. You can also update your numbering, or even get into your page numbering options. Why don't I do that? What this is going to do is help you decide the page order for your entire book. Do I want to continue my numbers from the previous document? Probably. Do I want to continue on the next odd page? What is that about? If I wanted all of my chapters to start on an odd page, you may end up with chapters that have an even page with nothing on it. But some people do like all of their chapters starting on the odd page. And you can also automatically update pages and section numbers, which is a good thing. Let me click OK. As you can see, the book feature does a lot. But the question is, why set up a book at all? Why not have all of your chapters in one document? The answer? Books are far more efficient and far more flexible. So it makes putting together and editing your book far easier. In the next lesson, we'll be discussing tables of contents.